that I think is, I'm just going to educate myself on this, and you can help me, Stephanie, because we have gotten into these conversations, and I'm not trans. People have oftentimes, quite often, have assumed I am a female. Typically, if I get to a certain weight, in heavier weight, it's interesting. My body will take on a shape and a look where people will say, well, mistake me for a female. Then there's another point that and people can say, well, this is BS. Like, no, I've documented it since I have documented these things, because they started over the course of the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, over the course of the last, it started to really fascinate me. Like, why are people? And then there was on the other side that if I would get below a certain weight or something, people were like, well, you're a really pretty girl. And I'm like, no, I'm a guy. For if my hair would get a little bit longer or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in the way I always kind of seen myself in the gender way, it's like, well, I guess in terms of that, I would be more non-binary because I have an androgynous look, but I am a male. I like my body. I'm comfortable in this body. And I love that about myself. And I know a lot of people don't have that privilege. That's a privilege right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is, before, did you identify, was your sexual orientation gay?
No. I
And
was always attracted to women.
Always attracted to women. And I say that because the conversations that I have had with gay men, it's been, why does it matter? We come over the first hurdle, which we came over a big thing, which we came out as gay. We're already marginalized. So it kind of goes into that. The argument has sometimes turned into, when you say the word privilege, like, I'm not privileged. I didn't come from money. And it's in this situation that people are like, it's almost as if the gay white male privilege, even though there's still that privilege there, they deny it because they feel they've already been through a marginalized hurdle, and therefore they're the same as a trans person.
Well, they might feel that way, but
right.
I don't know that I've ever.
But it's hard for them to get over the mindset past that ego,
mm-hmm.
to see that and to say, it is different for Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
It was different for Clint and Shane. It was different. It was different for Stephanie. And we need to listen to why it was different for Stephanie so that we can correct how we're excluding Stephanie's wholeness.
Bingo. Shane, that's so great. Because, at the end of the day, I'm not asking for much. At least I don't think it is.
Right.
All I'm asking is for people to advocate for me. I advocated for you.
Right.
I advocate. I would advocate for you marriage equality.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't, mean to bring up that little chestnut, but I mean, honestly, that's how it is. So it's like, and I heard what you just said, and I love that perspective, and thank you for sharing that. That really helps kind of inform more of my thinking. But what I would say to that is, that's all well and good, but that's internally how you're feeling outwardly.
Right.
You're doing this in a societal construct. Society doesn't see it like that.
Right.
Society sees it differently. And you've heard this 1,000 times, right? And it's different when I transition as a trans person because there's a physical change. So I decide to come out on, it's Monday, I look a certain way. I come out on Tuesday, not that it's going to happen that quickly, but hormones and things of that nature, especially for my trans siblings who are female to male, that hormonal change is huge.
Yeah.
But you see the physical change is what I'm saying. It begets a much, to society, a much greater physical change. gay or lesbian,
Mm-hmm.
necessarily that physical change it's not necessarily happening. You know, the way you
Right.
are on Monday is you look the same to
Mm-hmm.
society
Mm-hmm.
on Tuesday after you've
Right.
come out and said, hey, I'm gay, or hey, I'm lesbian, or hey, I'm bi, for example. Well, society still really sees you as the same person. It's not like you put a G on your forehead or an L on your forehead or a
Right.
B on your forehead.
Right.
And that's the difference.
It is a difference.
That's the difference. But the whole notion of embracing your authentic self and being true to yourself and living life on your own terms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something we all share.
Yeah.
You know, we all know what the closet looks like. You know, many of us of certain generations,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the younger generations, as we spoke about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and God bless every one of them, you know, they're coming out younger and younger.
Right.
Trans people, as well as the gay and lesbian people, they're all coming to grips with their sexuality a lot younger, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But for many generations but for older generations of LGBTQ folks, we all we all were in the same closet. You know, mine
Yeah.
might look a little different than yours.
Mm-hmm.
It might have a few more different dark nooks and crannies, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something we all still had to emerge from.
Exactly.
And it's like, and where I get frustrated, Shane, is just like, where did we forget that as a community? You know,
I
as an
don't know.
LGBTQ community, did we forget that somewhere along the
Mm-hmm.
way? You know, like again, it's not a competition. We have to raise each other up because if we do that, then the entirety of our community gets raised up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a hard thing. It's not a hard thing.
No. And it is. I'm really glad you said it because this is something I've been experiencing and probably this last year within the LGBT community, a community that I thought would, you know, the support of things. I thought that was, but I've seen a lot of more polarization just within our community of one another than I've ever seen. You know, people emailing me and sending me messages constantly like, you're not using your pronouns correctly. I don't think you should be doing this, and making assumptions about me that weren't even true. And these are members of the LGBT. And so I
Mm-hmm,
thought, where is this coming from?
mm-hmm,
And uh, quite frankly, I just chalked it up at one point. I was like, you know, this is just good old fashioned jealousy that you're not that
mm-hmm.
I'm doing what you're not able to do right now. It's not because I don't think you can't do it. It's because you've not found the courage yet to do it. Sorry. And
Yeah,
but
could be.
if you want to talk about how I did it, pull up a chair, boo.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
don't be an asshole and a dick to me.